Mortal Kombat. Fight. MKX. Mortal Kombat 10. Mortal Kombat XL. Mortal Kombat Big. X Large. Big Large. It's a good game. Yeah, the whole X thing works really well because it fit the game very well. X-ray. It really matched the theme of it. It's very dark, grim, very evil, very Mortal Kombat. And sometimes they get lost along the way where they're doing so many other different things throughout the games that, you know, I think they really came back to their roots here. It really does remind you of the old stuff where it's just kind of like this gruesome, gritty, super... just that. It's not even the X-rays that really stand out to me in that way. It can, but it's just that everything's so dark and black, and I love it. You know, this game's very relevant even now. But yeah, it's cool that they even got to get to 10 games, because getting to that isn't really easy to do, and that's pretty cool. So, it's pretty neat. It's a good game. It's really good for me because I fell off the Mortal Kombat thing a long time ago, since like PS2. What do they do for PS3? I don't even know. But yeah, I had like Shaolin Monks and whatever other ones. I don't know, Alliance, Deception, or something. This is fun. I had a great time, because like I grew up watching family play Mortal Kombat, like OG stuff. But I was pretty young at the time, so I just had to watch. Like, I played a little bit, but obviously I sucked, right? And, you know, dabbled with it like at the arcade and stuff. But yeah, it's almost like I kind of went back to Mortal Kombat in phases. And this one was cool because it was like, you know, hey, I'm just chilling now, a lot more grown up and adult. I'm not really, we're not talking PS2 as a kid, we're not talking like way young, even younger than that, as, you know, with the OG stuff, or... But yeah, I've always, if I haven't played all of the Mortal Kombats, I've seen it played in front of me, or I've seen so many videos, or maybe a stream here and there. It's like I've always kind of like saw it grow and get bigger and do different things and mix it up. Yeah, it's a very innovative series where they've kind of made a lot of right moves every single time, and I think here is kind of where it really started to pick up in its current lifetime. Kind of where it's deciding to go forward, and yeah, they did such a great job here. It was just fun to get back into because I think you've always liked Mortal Kombat, but it's always been such a spotty series throughout that this was kind of the one solid game where I was able to get and play it and be included and participate and say that I played it and was there and had a good time doing it and enjoyed it. I actually watched a lot of Mortal Kombat tournaments, esports, ESL, Combat League, Combat Cup, you know, just all of it. I probably did that for a year or two, easily. Just non-stop too. Like I was watching everything before, during, you know. Yeah, it takes a lot of time to watch those, so I don't really watch them anymore, unfortunately, but I'd like to. I think they're still really cool. It's just I've kind of seen it all. I don't know. It's just a very interesting thing to get into, and a nice fun rabbit hole to go down. I love all the, like, just the videos that explain all the everything that is Mortal Kombat, top 10 lists, lore stuff. I've seen all the movies, I've watched all the series, the animated stuff, the live action stuff, the old stuff, the new stuff. I just love Mortal Kombat. It's just so cool. It's like, sure, I do like Tekken, I do kind of like Street Fighter. I'm interested in things like Killer Instinct, and I used to like Bloody Roar, and I've always liked Soul Calibur. But I think Mortal Kombat was always my ticket to like something just a little bit more darker and kind of get straight to the point. Bloody, gory, nasty, disturbing. It's just great, because if you're gonna go there, just go there. That's what this game has always been doing. You know, you hear about how they were barely able to be a game at all back in the day, right? And now it's like no one really cares, but yeah, it's a good time. It's just, and it's really fast. I think that's my favorite thing about it, is that the fighting style here, it's just like boom, 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 boom. You know, there's no, I think Tekken, for example, is very slow. As much as I love that game, it's very slow. It's very traditional, it's very old school, it's very, a little more realistic. I don't know, Mortal Kombat kind of really goes out of their way to be this very otherworldly, but still grounded, realistic kind of thing. But it's just so cool. You got these elite fighters from all over the world, very cultured, fighting each other to the death. This isn't even for like a little prize, you know? It's like, dude, this is fight or die. I just love it. I love all the environments, the stages. I've always, like, they have so many characters at this point. They do really well done guest characters. NetherRealm, the studio, NetherRealm is a part of the game. I think that's cool how it matches up there. It's just great. You just can't go wrong with this game. And it's Warner Brothers, it's really good quality, very AAA. You know, the campaign, yes, it's more so about the multiplayer and the towers and the crypt and the arcade mode. But for me, it was the campaign. That's what I wanted. And it's just really fun. It's like a day or two, depending on how you play it. One sit-down session, maybe two, to get through the whole campaign, especially depending on what difficulty you choose, sure. I didn't really care for the QTEs in the gameplay, but whatever. I think that with the cutscenes, with the fighting, I guess, you know, is a pretty full-fledged thing right there. But they also have all these other modes too, so I don't think they really had to do QTEs, but it wasn't that bad. It was very subtle. It's just that argument where it's like, hey, I want to just sit down and watch, but if you want me to press a button or two, fine. But yeah, the cutscenes are great. very immersive. It really did feel like you were watching one of the movies or one of the series, but just in a video game format, and you were playing at the same time throughout. So it was very well put together. It was a nice package where it wasn't just about the story, cutscene part of it. You were included in the fight, pre-selected characters. Just a very interesting spin on how they went about the campaign versus other fighting games where traditionally you choose your character, and this is still somewhat of a relevant thing, I suppose. Not so much in Mortal Kombat per se, but in a way still, yes, maybe in other modes, kind of. But yeah, you usually pick your favorite character or whatever. You know, each character go through the little story, which is always kind of half-assed because they have to do something so different for each character. And here, it was so good and well done the way that it was because it was all pre-selected. You still got to play cool characters, fight cool characters, and there was a good chance that, you know, the fighting them is one thing, but when you got to be a good character that you actually liked, that was cool. You were waiting for that moment, like, oh, Johnny, Cassie, whoever, you know, cool. But when I really got to be someone I actually liked, that's where it kind of picked up for me a little bit. And to be fair, it's a fighting game. You're supposed to practice, you're supposed to have variety, you're supposed to be, sure, you should have a main. I think that's important, or mains. But just getting a feel for all the characters, especially starting off, because what are you probably going to end up doing the very first thing is the campaign, I assume. Get that out of the way, get whatever you can out of it, coins, skins, whatever. Go from there. Yeah, you got to play as a lot of characters, and you try to understand their movesets at the very least. Start out with their special moves and go from there. It just takes a quick peek at the pause screen, like, oh, they can do this and that and that. Cool, I'll start with those. And the cool thing is, a lot of these characters, the special moves, once you know those combos, they're pretty relevant with each character. So do something very similar at least, and you'll probably do one of their special moves. So it's not like you have to go too much out of your way to just get the basics of a character down, because obviously, yes, there's much more in-depth stuff, but I just like how playable and easy Mortal Kombat is compared to other games where you're a lot more dependent on those combos, on those crazy 20-button combos that you're writing down on a piece of paper. And you know, that's kind of where Tekken kind of falls in. And granted, you know, Tekken is slower, but obviously the reason why is because there's a lot more room for stuff like that. I think with Mortal Kombat, it's just pacing, it's stamina, it's strategy, it's reading their moves, it's blocking, you know, using those special moves, juggling. I think it's just very more dynamic, very more press a lot of shit to do a lot of shit. That's just what you got to do. But in this case, you're not going for something so specific per se like the other games. I just think other games, they're very pretty, they're very cool, they're very interesting, they feel good, they look good, all these things. But I really do think that Mortal Kombat is that one game that where it has all that, plus it just fits the whole fighting thing so much more, because like when I hold that controller and I'm doing these moves, I really do feel like I'm fighting these characters. I'm actually like going out of my way, and by the end of it my hands are hurting, and you know, you gotta break your hands in to really get the feel for having to press all these buttons so quickly, so back to back. It's just a lot more fast paced. That's pretty much the easiest way to look at it, versus like slower pace, but those moments pick up, or you only need those key moments to kind of win that fight. When really here, it's like, you know, you're dealing with range, you never know what could come at you, you gotta figure out other people's kind of move sets, and Obviously learning, you know, down twos and all that, I'm sure will help. I'm too lazy for that, but I don't know, I just love it. I just think it's so cool. I love the culture. It's a very popular fighting game. You can argue it is the most popular fighting game. It's not just some, you know, Japanese fighting game that's sitting out there. It's not just some random game that unfortunately didn't do as well. It's just, it's always been Mortal Kombat. It always will be. It sounds cool. It has the best music, the best theme song. It's an entire franchise. It's gotten so much media coverage, and you know, I think other games, they'll get their movie and they'll get their stuff, and they have really good music, everything. But Mortal Kombat is the king. I'm sorry. I'm probably more biased towards other stuff like Tekken, but you got to give Mortal Kombat the credit that it deserves, because you can just tell and you just know somewhere deep inside or whatever that this game is the best at what it does, period. Completely. With a K. Completely. Yeah, it's just, it's too damn good. They, especially with the universe, they didn't pick such a heavy base story. Well, it can be looked at it that way, sure, but they were able to interpret it in so many different ways, so many multiple times, kind of really recycling it, but not nearly as bad as like. And Tekken's the only other comparable game that I can compare this to, because I really do think that that is another just as successful game in its own right. But like over in Tekken, you're like you're like, you know, oh, we threw the kid off the cliff, you know, turned into a devil. Family, bloodlines, blood ties, DNA, genetics, hereditary. It's, you know, they didn't really focus on that too much here. Like, there is still a lot of family involved, like sons and daughters of these really badass OG characters that we're all familiar with from the past and stuff. Like, now they got kids and they've had kids together, and now they're this mega hybrid warrior. Yeah. Yeah, the story, even if you're thinking like Liu Kang, like from the movies, for example, the live action, you know, those kind of are its own thing. They never really implemented that too much into like everything else. Maybe here and there, they've always done a really good job at kind of like having enough there, making a world, but being able to do as many different things with it as possible. Because, like, yes, each interpretation of Mortal Kombat has always been so, like, different graphics, different time periods, different, you know, a lot of these were spaced out. Different studios maybe have done the work on them. Different, you know, even the cartoons are awesome. Warner Brothers, even their superhero stuff, they dabble quite a bit in the whole like cartoon bloody, not something you should normally see, and it works. But this game is just another piece to the arsenal, like another cool thing. Like, Mortal Kombat itself is just so cool. Like, I'd love to be more of a fan. It'd be cool to have every game, have every series, have every movie. The posters, the merch, shirts, pins. You've been to the tournaments, you have lanyards. I don't know, I just think it's so cool. Even though I'm not a fanboy, I've always wanted to be one. I just never knew if I could just take it that far. Like, I love it and I always will, but I'll show it love, but it's probably about all I can do. But yeah, the gameplay is pretty good. Yeah, as much as I like the story and the campaign, it was very enjoyable, very fun, very, you know, it was nice to follow along with these characters, watch it all kind of happen, go down. The one thing I didn't like though is it was having to pick a lot of characters I didn't really like or was interested in or cared for at all. Which most of them are in this case, yes, the good guys, the ones that aren't really as interesting. Hate to say it. They're really powerful, they're just not as cool. I mean, the darker stuff is the bad guys are cooler, and it's just how it is. But yeah, that was disappointing. So in this case, normally I'm kind of all about that. It was weird. It's different for me here, like versus maybe a Call of Duty game where I prefer the campaign over the multiplayer any day. But here is more so like campaign's cool. I'm not into the online multiplayer, but what I do enjoy is going to the arcade mode, grinding for coins, getting crypt coins, unlocking skins, using those different skins, going in the towers, testing my might, seeing how far I can make it. Can I get through a 10 round tower? Like that was fun for me. That's how I was able to kind of output what I'm willing to give into the game. And I can pick who I want. And nothing was forcing me to play a certain character, and I can pick the skins that I wanted and really play with those characters and practice that way versus just practice mode. I can just go in and really start to get to know these guys a little bit more and better. And you know, Alien, well, Alien's cool. Predator more so, Team Predator. Freaking Leatherface, man. Jason, I like Leatherface more. So those guys, for example, very specifically, I love Scorpion. I love using all his different skins. The thermal skin was really fun for me. I love Sub-Zero. The Fire and Ice, the ninjas. I had a Sub-Zero blue PS2 controller a long time ago that I'll never forget. It was the coolest controller I've ever had. You know, using all their variations, Grandmaster and ninjutsu and all these, you know, and that's just the bare bones of it. You know, it's fun picking all the characters, trying all of them out in that environment, and that's pretty fun. Because I've tried multiplayer once or twice and I got my booty whooped, but that's just because I was never willing to sit down and learn and practice. It's just plain and simple. You know, I'm not going to go in there and waiting for lobbies, especially, you know, I wouldn't say they're, depending on the status of the game and the time it came out, all these things, like those lobbies, you're going to be sitting there for a minute. I never really liked fighting game lobbies. They're just slow. But yeah. You know, even in Tekken, even in other stuff, I've always kind of just been more of the PvE guy anyway. Because to be fair, I mean, that's just as cool to test out, you know. I think fighting people, that is kind of where it does go. But if you think about it, I mean, fighting an AI, an artificial intelligence, a code, a programmer's, you know, these guys are the NPCs, the bosses of the domain, like the rulers of the cyberspace. You know, they're the ones that live there and that are almost alive in a way and adapt to you, and they're masters You know, they say you want to fight people, but dude, AI, they know the game better than anyone. You know. So I don't know. I think that's a really cool. That's kind of my excuse to, you know, can I outsmart them? Can I throw them off? Can I play games with them? Mind games, right? Can I do my own little strategy to overcome every scenario that they could possibly deem fit? You know, and I'll use, there's so many factors to put into place, like the two characters that are fighting each other. What movesets are they? What environment are we in? What map? Stage, whatever. So that's just kind of cool. That's just how I like to think of it. Like, you know, it doesn't always have to be PvP, because as hard as that is, you know, the only upside to PvP is it's a lot more... What's the word? Unpredictable. People are unpredictable, right? But and sure, like an AI or a robot has a very set standard of procedures, but at the same time, you know, you never know what they're capable of as well. And that's just kind of fun to mess around with it in that way. But yeah, you got everything here: brutalities, fatalities. I think they have friendships as well. Babalities? I don't know. I don't follow Mortal Kombat enough to know all that, but yeah, all your favorite characters are here. The story itself, I mean, you know, it's the same old, same old. We've all seen it before. Bad guys come to take over Earthrealm. That's about it. And even if people die in the campaign, you know, they're not obviously not actually dead. Like, dude, these characters have died so many times, they just keep coming back. I don't know why they should call it Immortal Kombat, honestly, because you know, a lot of these characters supposedly did die in their lore aspect or whatever it may be, and they're just back again. Next game, next game. No characters have ever really like exactly died, right? They always find a way to kind of come back strong. And I know most of the games, with the roster, they'll take a character out for a while, put them back in. You know, what do the fans want? Do they want to see this character come in at this game? Because really, we want all the characters in every game. But obviously, that's just not going to happen. So let's, yeah. But I don't look at MKX as like it's something we get, it's not all we get. If we don't want to play the game, we can watch the movies, the cartoons, the series. If we don't want to watch that shit, we can play this. There's other games to play. You know, there's other ways to get involved in the community. But even with all that said, MKX is just still so cool and special and good to me because of what it is and how it came out, when it came out, what it's doing. Everything just kind of really lined up there for me, so it makes me pretty happy. And it's just a fun, different time in my life too when this did come out. I think it really represented, these games come out when they do it for a reason. Like, it represents like, hey, this might be somewhat of a dark time in your life, you never really know, or because these games know their audience. They know that, like, hey, by the time Mortal Kombat existed, there was young adults playing it, there was kids knowing about it. You know, those young adults are older now, and they've never really fallen off the Mortal Kombat wagon. But now the kids who are there, they're adults now, you know, and this is kind of what we get for us. This is for us now. So I think that's really cool, is, you know, because they're always trying to push that next generation, as well as keep the generation before happy and, you know, satisfied with what they get as well, for sure. But yeah, it was just fun. It's fun getting a little refresher for the game again recently. It was fun kind of getting back into it, and it's very nostalgic. I've spent a decent amount of time with this game. Streamed it a couple times. I want to say I played some of it offline as well, like just completely just all by myself, and you know, played it with some friends here and there, like in person. Yeah, I just love it. I love the grind. I think the grind's a little too heavy, because I just love those customized skins. They just look so cool. To pick your character and have it look the way you want it to. And maybe even be able to make that some sort of trademark, versus like, oh, I'm just gonna pick every character, use every skin. Like, it just doesn't become as special as much, especially as these games kind of go on. The more skins that are out there, the more selection, the less special it kind of gets. But yeah, customization, it's, you know, for these fighters who are representing the world and who are the elite, top tier, pinnacle echelon, just, you know, most powerful, strongest fighters in the world, right? Very cool abilities, all very, I love all their designs. Yeah. Final round. Fight.